Right.
And where we lived at was very bad. And Holyoke at the time was Disneyland, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And we're talking about
What year was that?
36 years ago. That was 1984.
1984.
1984.
Everything just
It was
started,
great.
right?
Yeah, everything was great.
Damn, that's a different time, right?
Yeah, everything was great. Everything was great. So we moved out here. And my mom was already at that time. My mom didn't want me training no more. Period.
Yeah.
My mom thought that the martial arts was gonna bring the worst out of me.
Okay.
I used to get really angry, so I would kick shit or I would punch shit, and I would wall this or wall that. My mom said, "Okay, that's it. We're not doing that no more."
And this is you now, like 11, right?
Yeah, at 12.
12, right?
Now I'm living here, and then the worst part about it is, you know where my school is at now, right here in High Street, right?
Yeah.
You go further down, right across from where Wally's grandparents own, right next to the club that I work at, right? That building right there. I actually moved into that building when I was 12. Okay. And so downstairs where the club is at right now, right there was an ancient root school, ancient root karate. So I lived in a building and my mother wouldn't let me take karate. No, it was not. It was torture. It wasn't faith, man.
It was like you were destined to do it, though.
But it didn't happen. My mom wouldn't let it happen. So it was torture, man.
She's like, no, Richie, tú no puedes hacer eso.
No, man, she wouldn't for nothing, man. And I tried everything, man. I lashed out and my mom was not having it. So my journey didn't happen right away. I have a friend of mine, and my wife could tell you, his name is Louis, bow-legged Louis. And he talks about a story. He says, Richie, remember when you used to try to kick my ass behind the building? He's talking about Heritage Park, because that's where we be training, because my mom wouldn't let me take classes, so I would train with the guys who took classes.
Right.
One way or another, I get me something. My cousin Victor used to box.
Yeah.
He used to take karate. So my mom would allow me, but I still found a way to train.
He's like, I took a little bit of it.
Because here I was now going to another school, and at that time I went to Lynch, and Lynch was hectic.
Damn, Lynch was open by that time?
Oh yeah, man. Remember, Lynch only closed down maybe 10 years.
Yeah, I closed after. I think that's the year after me.
Yeah, I went to it for 7th and 8th grade. I went to Lynch.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I went to Lynch, and so it was different, and Lynch was tough, man. You had all the people from the flats.
Really? Lynch was tough?
Lynch was tough, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, Lynch. Peck was actually the nicer school.
Really?
Peck, you had the people from, mostly from like South Holyoke and, Sargent, something like that. Yeah. And then Lynch was High Street, Newton, the flats, Dwight Street, Pine Street, you name it, every street that was the opposite of the other one was us.
Yeah.
The only thing
and it was a small school, wasn't even that big?
It was a small school. And at that time, there was a lot of, not only, it was just crazy, there was violence. It's not like the type of violence we see now, though. Yeah. Violence then, people just fought, and there was a lot of fights, you got jumps type stuff. Yeah. But there was a lot of that, there was a lot of bullying. So he was a new school. I'm still the same size. I haven't grown, right? And now I gotta prove myself all over again. And
damn.
So the martial arts, I just did it until again I found an opening. And
so when did you find someone to train you? Like actually train you?
About 3 years after I moved here.
3 years after you moved? So this is you 15? 15?
From 15, yeah. Okay. I actually started taking a karate with Eddie Case. Mm-hmm. Eddie Case does the Anti-South Holyoke Initiative Program, the anti-violence. He's a CO. And so he had opened up a school at Inshinru, correct? Because back then, those were the schools that were predominant in Holyoke. And it was Inshinru Karate, and which was like Norman Walker, Chris Stevenson, Chet Hollaback, them guys. And then from their school, you had Eddie Case, Mr. Bird, Richard Bird, and then you had Grandmaster Griffin's Iron Dragon Kenpo, which is my instructor, Soki Raven Lee, Soki Paul Johnson, Leo Williams, all them, the big guys. So,
where were they located?
So they were Springfield, Holyoke, because Holyoke had a lot of Kenpo schools back then. So when I started taking them, man, it was like watching movie stars. I'm not gonna lie. My instructor Raven used to drive around in a limo. He had a limo, man. And this is not a lie, man. Yeah. He was that bad of a dude. To me. So I started taking Inshinru Karate. I forged my mom's signature. I was 15 years old, and I already was an expert because I was doing it with my grades. I was doing it with my grades. Listen, and my mom punished me for failing French.
Right.
For failing French, and I told my mother, you know, what the hell, Mom? Well, I didn't say what the hell because I knew better than that. Hey, I said, Mom, you know, like, I'm never going to use this. Yeah. And she goes, that's not why I'm punishing you. I'm punishing because you didn't put no effort. Mm. And she said, that always stay with me. How can you try? How can you know something if you never even tried it? Right. You never put the effort. So you basically decided you're going to limp it, so now limp this. That's my mother for you. So this is where I get that drive from, you know? So I was not going to tell her nothing. And at the time, it was crazy because it was me and my best friend already, who's still my best friend. He's my brother. We've been friends that long. And we're talking about 35, 36 years I've been friends with this cat, you know? Long time, right? And it was me and him. I got operated on my ankle. I used to play, believe it or not, my little ass played soccer and basketball for Dean. Yeah. You know, and then so my friend. Dean? Yeah, I went to the old Dean, which is the CVS now. That's how old I am, brother. I was a freshman the last year was open. So either way, I got operated. So my father got me this 10 speed and said, yo, get your own therapy. There was no physical therapy, none of that bullshit back then, you know? So I started letting care yourself. Yeah, so we lived in Bowden Village. So, you know, we ride all the way down to Lynch and come up the other way and come up South Street. Yeah. Here I see it was like, dude, it's like, you know, name your favorite thing that you like. Is it the cartoons? These cartoons, you like these a lot? Yeah. So just imagine you walk by and here's a store. And right in front of it, it's got all these cartoons. I know. This was me. This is me. I walked by and I seen karate. And my heart stopped, man. Like, I told Leonardo, we got to stop. And Leonardo's like, no, man, I don't want to take karate. I said, it ain't for you. It's for me. So I signed. I said, yeah, I'll be right back. And went around the corner. Forged my mom's signature and brought it back. Tell your mom signed. Yeah, my mom signed the whole thing. Yeah, my mom was in the back. And then what was great about it was that they had a weights downstairs, so it was a fitness. It wasn't just karate. Oh yeah. That's how I sold it to my mom. I said, "Nah, man, Mom, I signed up. Look, I'm skinny. I weighed 115 pounds when I was 15 years old. Okay, so I said, I'm trying to lift weights, and she fell for it, and I was competing, and she had no idea. No idea. I forged with my signatures, caught ass whoopings for coming for showing up late after tournaments, and never told my mom nothing until my dad caught me. And he never told my mom nothing either, though. How he caught you, though? Well, my mom went to Puerto Rico. My dad, which is my stepfather. Let me just tell you, that's the greatest man in my life. My stepfather. He's still with my mom right now. He took me since I was 6. I'm 49. He's still with my mom. Right? So when my mom left to Puerto Rico, left me with him. And, you know, he used to like to drink. So he said, "Figureless, we go pick up Richie. He's got to be tired from lifting weights." And this has never been done before then, right? No, he never, you know, so he never picked me up, man. You crazy? That was like the furthest thing from my mind. My father picked me up, right? And so I'm here sparring. And I hear somebody. And when I look, it was my father and my uncle. God bless his soul. My uncle was just clapping. And I said, "Oh, no." And Mr. Bird said, "Is that your dad?" I said, "Yeah, man, I think I'm in trouble." Again, I said, before this, how long have you been fighting? Oh, shit, like 6 months, man. Like 6 months. 6 months. I remember going to my first tournament. And dude, before that, dude, I remember they started me at 15, but because I was so small, they put me in the kids class. Yeah. And the kids class ran up to 15. And they're out the rip, like the first kid that I took, I made a piece out of fast, you know, like no hesitation. Listen, man, we got to move this kid up. Yeah. That's how fast it was. I lived my size, I didn't speed. All those years that I trained before I even took another class, I trained for 3 years straight, hitting the punching bag, harnessing my kicks, practicing whatever I could. I didn't know no katas. I didn't know no techniques. I didn't know no real stuff. It was straight fighting. But it was straight fighting. You know, that's what I knew. So I took it right into that. So they moved me up quick. And then in the process of that, that's where I met my grandmaster, my Sulky Raven. They used to have Tuesday night fights. Now, what I mean, it would be Paul Johnson's Red Dragon, Raven's Iron Dragon Kenpo, Instant Root Karate, Joe Schmo from down the street. It didn't make a difference. And on Tuesdays, they brought their students, and that's how we checked our talent, man. And where was this located? Where were you? This is on South Street. Woo! So South Street, you know where the old people building is? Yeah. Right across is a church right now. You got the bodega in the corner. Mm-hmm. There's a glass place in the church. It was the church right there. Yeah, I see it. And look at the crazy that her aunt used to be married to Eddie Case. She missed me by mine. She would have met me back then. Those kids would have been mine. You know what I'm saying, right? Right? We're gonna just throw that little joke in there for my wife, right? So, no. But that's how it was. So they started seeing me fight, man, and I was watching some of them, and they were amazing. Yeah. And that's how I fell in love with the kenpo. That, like, it was not to say nothing about the instrument fighters, because always remember that it's not the style that makes the fighter is the fighter that makes the style.
Oof.
Okay?
Always
Remember that. So, but the Kenpo fighters they were amazing.
We're hard-hitting.
Hard, they move like cats. My instructor Raven was taking his leg, and my instructor Raven could put his leg wherever he wanted. I was seeing him drop guys, knocking them out with straight reverse punches, and I wanted that. That's what I wanted. I was because martial arts has to be like a 3-piece suit. It has to be tailor made to fit you. That's what the martial arts is. And I thought the instant rule was not for me. I'm a kid like a ball of fire. I need to move. I can't stay still.
Right.
It's not me. So Kenpo gave me that. And I remember saying to myself, man, one day that's gonna be me. But it didn't happen like that right away. It took a little bit of time.
Did your mom ever find out?
No, my mom didn't find out until I was 18. And she found out because I brought a 6-foot home trophy and I left it in the living room. She find out what I'm doing with my time. Yeah.
I can't hide it no more.
That's it. It's a 6 foot. What am I gonna do? Since Eddie was like, I'm not taking that home with me. Since Eddie was tired. Since Eddie was my first black boy instructor, and he was like, I'm tired of this shit, man. So I'm not taking no more of these. Yeah, but no, it was a journey, man. I stopped taking instant room. They ended up closing down. And I became a little knucklehead.
Right. The streets of Holyoke consumed you a little bit.
Yeah, I started getting into fights and started getting into trouble and catching stupid little charges here and there. So I wasn't really doing much.
Yeah.
And then one day I seen Raven Soki. He was teaching up at the rec hall. So if you go to Bolden Village now, it's the Boys and Girls Club, little club that they have in Barrett Ave. There used to be a rec hall back then. This lady named Carol Belmore, God bless her soul. She used to run it. She was like the director of Bolden Village, so she used to hold these dances for the kids, for the teenagers. We have a little DJ. That's when the CDs came out and you could DJ on the CDs. We out tonight. That was actually my first taste of volunteering or working with kids. Was with that lady. I didn't like it then. I don't know what happened to me afterwards. I got old, I got soft, but I didn't like it then, right? So I met I started talking with Raven. Raven was like, you gotta stop wasting your talent. You gotta stop wasting your time and start taking classes. And I couldn't afford them. Right. I was working for sneakers and stuff. My parents couldn't afford for everything. My parents did the essentials. They gave me a place to live, a roof over my head, food in my stomach, clothes on my back. They did what they could. But for the other nice stuff, I worked. I didn't really look at it. I was like, I didn't have it. And then 2 days before Thanksgiving, I was already friends with Sensei Eddie's kids, Charlene and Weeby. I was friends with them already. And he said to Eddie, at the time he wasn't a sensei, he was a brown belt. He said, this is the young man that I was talking to you about. And, he said, I see this kid all the time. He said, he told me, come in and don't go nowhere. So I watched the whole class. Man, I wanted to get in so bad. Yeah. And to be honest with you, a lot of it was because I seen a few of them that I thought I could kick their ass. At the time, I thought that, right? That was my thinking. I said, I think I got this, right? Yeah. And man, was I wrong? Yeah. So he was like, I was wrong. So he told me, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to do what I've done with other kids. I'm going to sponsor you. And I was like, sponsor me? He said, you're not going to pay for no classes, no uniform. I'm going to take care of you. All you got to do is train.
That's fucking crazy.
So that's how I started my Kenpo journey.
I see that.
That's how I started my Kenpo journey.
So you ended up training with this guy, right? And he ended up being the hell under earth, right? Isn't it ended up being a curse and a blessing at the same time?
He was it was deceiving, man, because Soki Raven back then was young as well. Yeah. And then he was young and he was a champion in fighting, weapons, forms, breaking. This guy was all around. He competed all over the world. He competed all over the United States. And I think at the time, it was hard. I think I wasn't the exact typical student either. I had a lot of attitude. I had a big chip on my shoulder. Right. My size was one of it. I was training with giants. I wasn't training with nobody my size. If they were my size, they were like they must have been teenagers. They must have been 13 or 12. They were my size, right? They were not my age, You're
fighting with the giants.
I had to fight with guys, So sometimes I used to think that they hated me, and that's what I used to think about my instructor. In some ways, he reminded me of my father, and I didn't like my father. So it brought a lot of turbulence between me and my instructor. Right. You understand? And I think it had a lot to do also with my anger, my anger in general, nobody knowing why is this guy so angry?
Yeah.
Why is this guy in the blink of an eye snapping and laughing and doing all this good thing, and then boom, in the blink of an eye, he's ready to. And so nobody knew, and my instructor didn't know how to handle that.
Right.
My mother didn't know how to handle that. So fuck is he gonna know? And that's what started happening with us. We clashed a lot. I'm 5'4", my instructor 6 something, and at the time it was 220 pounds of muscle.
He was moving
breaking,
too.
Oh man, moving man. He used to break center slabs with his hands this thick, and I'm here, trying to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
So it was like it was not meant to be at the time. But through that process, I hooked up with one of his students, Sensei Golden Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, he was a brown belt, and so Eddie lived in Bowling Village, and he was my ride. We did one day in the rec hall, and then 2 days in Springfield, the YMCA. Yeah. And the kids don't know, man, because I'm training on cement floors with cement pillars in the way,
right?
Probably a little bit bigger than what you have here. That's what we're training. We're about 6, 7 deep, men, grown, and when we did rollouts, that's what we're doing it on. And when we did any takedowns, any self-defense, so it was hard training.
Yeah.
It wasn't not that we watered it down, but because of the laws, we gotta have mats and we gotta finagle the bagel. Yeah. But back then parents weren't even allowed to come in. Yeah. So teachers didn't want parents seeing what they were doing to their kids. Right. But they were making us hard. So that generation is long gone as far as my consideration. Yeah.
What's some of the things you some of the trainings you had to go through, like what's some of the crazy ones?
Oh, so we did a lot of training as far as footwork training. We did a lot of conditioning training, punishing our body. We gave our body our own punishment. We didn't need to get punished by anybody else. Right. It was crazy, man. Some of the even for kata training, being in stances for a long time and training on cement floor, conditioning your knuckles, hitting the Milwaukee board to condition your hands, and and fine-tuning yourself in the martial arts. It was different.
Yeah, did you guys use a stick too over there a lot?
The stick, and we had a She-Knife stick in which they would hit us. We would kick it with our shins, we would block with our forearms, hit with our body.
Oh my God.
And we would do that to condition yourself.
Right, because the more you impact, the more it absorbs.
And it was we had a lot of hands-on. We was a school that was very hands-on. Yeah. When we did, it didn't make a difference from sparring to sampan, kamita, to self-defense. We did it hard. And so your toughest competition came from your dojo, just like it is in my school. Right. Their toughest competition is each other. They go to the tournaments and they clean house. Right. Their toughest competition is each other. It's the most critical.
And that's like the baby generation of what you've done. Like what you went through.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about. All the years of martial arts training helping me now to do what I do with the kids that I have now. It's been a learning experience both have. It's been on what to do and what not to do as well. So it's taught me a lot.
So right around the time, right? You're 18, right? When you were Eddie, right? And
I was 16,
17. So you're around that time. You're still connected with the streets at this time? Yeah. And you're kind of living like a double life at this moment, right?
A double life. At the time, my father worked nights. My father worked nights and my mom worked hard. And I wanted to do things that I know I couldn't do. Besides the martial arts, I wanted to hang out.
Party.
And I wanted to party. So I ended up leaving my house at an early age because I had a lot of conflicts with my parents. And my parents are great parents. Yeah. It was more me of wanting to do more because I had my friends that were doing it. And at that time, I was a follower. So yeah, it's a primal instinct, but it's which one do we choose to be? Right. And I chose the wrong one. I chose to be a follower. I said, okay, well, my these guys are doing it and they're all happy, so why can't I do it? So I started getting involved in drinking and in smoking and shit like that. And then the next thing I know, it was easy to make money. Right. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. I still worked, but I enjoyed the street life. I enjoyed the action, I guess. It was also different because we didn't have all these gangs and we didn't have all this violence and bullshit going on either.
Okay.
When most of the guys, when we was hanging out, you was either drinking beer or, if you hustled, you hustled. But for the most part, you were just hanging, man.
It was in peace.
It was peace, man.
What year was this?
in early 80s. Everything started changing in the early 90s.
Okay.
In the early 90s, that's when everything to me started changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when everything started getting tough. Got into the drinking real heavy.
Okay.
That's the beginning of everything going down.
Yeah.
Started drinking real heavy. Started partying with certain drugs real heavy. Started taking a lot of control over my life. Started getting violent, which is the one thing that I was trying not to be. Was the one thing I was becoming, was a violent person. I had rage that I didn't know where it was coming from, and I was taking it out on the wrong people. I was taking it out on my friends. I ended up taking it out on my wives. So it was tough. I think the wanting to be somebody that you're not.
Right.
That's how I put it. Yeah, I didn't know who I was, so I could have picked 100 people, but I picked to be this tough guy. I picked to be the guy that wants to go out and cheat on his wife and go and do drugs, and that's the guy that I chose. Out of all the people I could have chose to have an identity, like I chose that motherfucker. I chose to be that guy because I felt that was the guy that people liked, because it became more of a how do I get people to like me? So here I am. I don't have a lot of nothing. I'm not an artist. I'm not a great basketball player. I'm not this. I'm not that. The one thing that I was okay in was fighting.
Right.
So it was the one thing that every time there was a situation, hey, well, let's go get Richie. Instead of me being that guy, be like, you know what? No, I think maybe I'll sit this one out. Maybe I think we should think this over.
Right.
I'd be the one to be like, let's go do this.
Right, because it's just the moment. Everybody's there. They're telling you got beef. You got to go handle it. And it's like, you got to do it.
You got to do it because you think that's what's right. You think that, okay, this is what you're doing. And then, it was just stupid, man. At the end of the day, it was a lot of stupid shit. So I think what happened with me is machismo and that macho pride got the best. Even though I knew I was fucking up, I was like, nah, I got this. I got this under control. Even though I kept catching a charge after charge after charge, don't worry about it.
But that's the sign of growth is moving on, and still like you're still gonna have your mishaps, but it's about still trying to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So what led you to want to do a school? Like I can see everything at this point is in like you're in this Holyoke freaking like crazy environment. You're doing a bunch of crazy shit. When did it shift? It
took years. Took a lot of years.
Okay.
20 something.
When it was 20 years, what did you have to go through to realize that you needed to change?
I lost a lot. I lost a lot. The only thing that I had to hang on was the martial arts. Yeah. That's it. But at that time, I wasn't trying to teach. Mm-hmm. I wasn't trying to teach at all. I just wanted to train. I started losing marriages and stuff like that, and I started losing friends. And then I think my first real turning point in which I knew that I could do something different was in 2006. I got locked up in 2005, the end to the beginning of 2006. And then when I came out at that time, I already had gotten my second black belt. I got my first black belt at Cincinnati when I was 2021, around there, right? And then in 2005, July 27 of 2005, I got my black belt under Soki in kenpo jiu-jitsu, right? And then, we had a falling out. Me and him had a falling out. And then, I lost my brother a month after I got my black belt. I lost my brother. And so my brother was like one of the, not the main reason, but the reason I knew I could do it as far as the martial arts. My brother was my size. He was a redheaded, if you could believe that shit. His name was Shisho Rodriguez.
Oh, shit.
Right? And he went into the Marines. See, with my father got married 5 times. There was 11 of us, 9 boys and 2 girls. I'm number 7 of 11. That says everything right there. All right? It says it all right there, right? And then, so my brother went into the Marines and they put him in a fat farm. But not because he was fat, it was because my brother weighed under 100 pounds at the age of 18. My brother was tiny. So he had to weigh over 100 pounds to get into Marines. He did it and became this soldier. Yeah. And then during this time, he spent about 2 or 3 years in Japan, in which he got rank in Okinawa karate. So I remember seeing him in action when I was like about 13 years old. This dude, jailhouse dude, wanted to beat up on my father because my father was a kind of a troublemaker type thing. Not my dad, not Frankie, but my father who passed away. And Max was so impressive that I said to myself, this is proof right here that it's not bullshit.
Yeah.
So what made it sad is that, I got my black belt in July and I said, man, I can't wait to call him. That's all I kept telling my instructor. I said, man, I'm going to call my brother and tell him I got one up on him. Right? And that was July 27th and he died August 5th. He died 8 days before his 40th birthday in a car accident. Shit. So my whole life was destroyed.
What the fuck?
I didn't care about the black belt. I didn't care about nobody, to be honest with you. I told Raven to go F himself. I told everybody I lost all control. All control. My drug habit just went crazy because I couldn't understand out of all of us how he got taken. Yeah. So damn. All my demons were out. It was a wrap. I was a devil. I didn't care. I didn't care. Started getting into trouble. Started catching charges here, left and right. Lost my second wife. Lost my kids. Lost my job. Everything did in a matter of like 4 months. Right after my brother died in August, and by December I didn't have shit. It took me a long time for me to come out that. Yeah. So once that happened, I felt like I had no reason. I feel like I had no reason. So then we fast forward to me getting out of jail, and Shisho Rodriguez tells me, "You're gonna start teaching this kids class. I'm not doing it. You're gonna do it." So I said, "I'll take over, right?"
How old are you at this point?
About 32.
32?
32, 33, around there, somewhere.
She's telling you, you should come teach this class.
So yeah, so I said, fuck it, let's do it. Mm-hmm. So I get to class, right, and I yell at this one little girl. And she starts crying. I'm like, no, what are you doing? You can't cry. They pull me out there in the class. She tells me she's autistic. So she explains to me she has a twin sister, Annie and Zoe, right? Now, have you ever seen the movie Twins? Where Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, right? You know the concept behind that movie, right? They try to make like the perfect man. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, then what was left over, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Annie and Zoe was something similar, where her older sister, the one that was born first, got the size, the height, was a perfectly great child, had the confidence and the charisma. And you had Zoe, who was small, tiny, and didn't have no confidence. And now my teacher's telling me this, and in my mind, I said, I know what my goal is now. This was like January, February around there, and Paul Johnson's tournament was in May. And I said, I'm gonna get this girl to fight in this tournament. So I trained her, man, and I trained her, and I trained her, and I trained her, and I trained her. Mm-hmm. And come that day of the tournament, I'm supposed to not only coach her, but get ready for my black belt fight, which would be the first time I'm competing as a black belt. I've competed against other black belts, but I've never tried it myself, And you know what they say? It's like getting a black belt and not competing in it. It's like getting your driver's license and never driving a car. So it's like I wanted to drive my car, So I come and we get to this tournament, and this is a true story, man. This is on everything that I love. Yeah. This little girl took second place in forums and second place in fighting in a big division in Paul Johnson's tournament. I forgot about me having to fight. I'm here celebrating. Her parents are celebrating. And that to me was kind of like an opening. Like,
you felt it for the first time.
It was the first
like
time.
It was more than just you.
And then more. So I get to my fight, and I win my first match. And my second match, it's against this guy. I don't know who the hell he is, right? All I know is he beat me 7-1, right? Bad too. Like I'm talking about bad. I think at one point the judge gave it to me because he felt bad. I'm honest with you. And then Paul Johnson puts his arm around me. And he says, "Don't feel bad. You just lost to the #1 fighter in the world. His name is Jody Tension. He's out of New York, out of the Bronx. #1 fighter. If you Google his name up, Jody Tension's one of the top fighters in the world. Oh, man. So it wasn't too bad getting my ass kicked by him, right? So, but what I got out of that was it wasn't so much about me being a fighter. Maybe I can't do that, but I could be a teacher.
Definitely.
So that was the first seed. And that seat stood there for a couple of years until I'm gonna say June of 2012.
2012.
2011.
Okay.
2011, yeah. I hit rock bottom.
Right.
I was so down at this point where I was living in a one-room apartment with a friend of mine. You know, he had a bed on one side, I had a bed on the other side. It was the kitchen, the room, the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, it was a tough place. And then by some graces of God, my cousin Johnny came around. I had not seen him in a while, Johnny Figueroa, right? And he came around. He had an apartment in Springfield. He said, "Man, Richie, man, why don't you just come in and move in with me?"
Yeah.
And at first I said, "Nah, man, I didn't want to leave Holyoke because remember I was doing a lot of dirt in Holyoke. You know, Holyoke was."
I mean, Holyoke is the kingdom for it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why would I want to go to Springfield? I don't want to
That's
go
where it's at.
you know?
That's where it's at.
So I ended up leaving with him, and I never left. Like, I ended up staying with the apartment. I ended up getting a dog named Precious. God bless her soul. I ended up getting custody of Roman. Then Isaiah, and then I had another kid, and then I met my wife. And 12 years later, I stood in that same apartment. This beautiful of a white man named Tim Flavin, who I love with all my heart. He kept me there. Yeah. You know, I couldn't even pay rent at the beginning. And he trusted me. I was getting custody of my son Roman. And my son Roman is the spark. He's the spark of everything. Rodriguez Holyoke Kenpo, he's the spark.
Okay.
Because he's the one that followed in my footsteps the most. You know, my other kids were being raised by their mom, Sasha and Richie, and they have a good mom. Yeah. So they didn't need that. You know, I'm not gonna speak ill about Roman's mom, but Sasha and Richie didn't need that. Roman did at the time. Right. And so I had the opportunity to get him. They gave me custody of him. Mm-hmm. And the first thing this little motherfucker tells me is, when we're gonna start training. This is a true story.
Let's go. Story,
man. My boy Eddie Morales is living with me. He's like, you know, like this was it. So, you know, I started training him in my living room. I had no sofas. I had mats. I had pads. I had cups, you know, mouthpieces, and we started training, man. You know, now. And for a little bit, it would just be me and him, you know. And then I would do like my friend little Eddie Morales, his wife. That's what started me with the cardio kickboxing. You know, I would give her a couple of classes, and I give her a couple of classes out here. I do that in my living room. Yeah. So then one day, my boy Jesse Castellano, he came to the house to visit me, you know, and he didn't know that I did this stuff. Yeah. You know, he didn't know I did this stuff. He came to the house to visit me. And me and Roman was training. He said, "Bitch, I don't know you do this stuff." And I said, "Yeah, come here. Let me show you something." And I started fucking him up, right? Right?
I mean, and he's young with you too.
So, and anybody who knows Jesse, you know, Jesse's an entrepreneur, right? And right away he said, "Ding, ding, 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 ding. You got to open up a karate school." I said, "Nah, man, I don't want to open up no karate. I don't want to teach nobody." He said, "Nah, man, listen, man, you know, you got to do it, man. You got the skills and you got to do it." Dude, he convinced me. I started teaching him. His son Tyler, who's 18, graduates this year. Yeah. And Tyler was 6 years old at the time. He graduates high school this year, right? That's crazy. I started teaching him, Tyler. I started teaching Roman, my son Isaiah, Jose, Eddie's son, Nelson, Eddie's son, and Isaac. Isaac was my littlest one, out of my living room. Out of my living room, we ordered them geese. I ordered myself this black belt that, no offense, but I think they gave me a girl's black belt, right? Because it was the thinnest black belt in the world, but I wore that baby with pride, I tell you, right? I wore it, right? And that's how we started. And then, you know, we started, you know, trying to advertise it, but nobody was trying to hear about that shit, you know?
What year was this by this time?
This is 2011. Yeah, Casey was born 2012. We got together 2013. So yeah, 2011. It was around the beginning of the summer of 2011. And we would go and we hand give out flyers at the Paul Sock game in the high school, you know, and we hand out 100 and we'd find 99 on the ground. Yeah. You know, and so I had to learn a lot of patience because I wanted to actually show people how bad of a paper cut, how much it really hurts, right? But I had to calm myself down, and then, you know, we started thinking about locations, and everything was so expensive. Nobody's trying to hear about no karate school, man. Yeah. And at that time, let me just explain to you that when I moved out here, karate and boxing was huge, man. the Golden Gloves boxing out of the boys club was amazingly big. And then you have 4 to 5 different karate schools in Holyoke alone, brother.
Damn,
Kenpo and Instant Rule. Kenpo and Instant Rule do ran this, man. This is no lies,
right.
Man.
You can't find nothing.
You had Norman Walker down in Springdale. Mm-hmm. You had Chris Stevenson on High Street. You had Eddie and Mr. Bird, Eddie Kids Mr. Bird on South Street. God. You had Master Griffin on Suffolk Street. You had Raven at the Red Court. You had Mark Champagne at the YMCA. This is what it was. This was just Holyoke, man. That's done. It was like the dinosaurs. We got extinct. You know,
that's fucking crazy.
That's how it was. So, when we said nobody was trying to help us, then we got together with the Latino Chamber of Commerce and this guy named Andrew Melendez, and he was like, you know what, let's try to figure something out. And then he said, would you mind teaching out of the voice club? And I said, oh, hell no. It gives us a start. And then we just trying to figure out a name, So of course, I'm like, I'm thinking savage, man. I'm like, we're gonna call it the Scorpion Pit. and my boy Little Eddie's like, dude, it's a karate school, not a strip club, man. What's going on here, man? Like, what are you doing, man? And then Jesse's like, we can't call it the Scorpion Pit, man, because everybody gonna be like,
I didn't sound bad, though.
At the time, I was like,
Scorpion Pit.
We decided to keep it Holyoke.
Yeah.
And so the main purpose was, everybody had different agendas, Yeah. But I'm not going to speak on their agendas. I'm going to speak on mine.
Yeah.
And mine was to make it affordable for every kid to take karate.
Yeah.
I didn't want to teach. I don't care what rank I am. I remember I started at $40 a month, giving the same amount of classes I give now.
Yeah.
At 40, right? And in 11 years, I got up $30. So it's not about the money.
Right.
Okay, if I didn't have to pay for the place that I got now, I'd probably give it away for free.
For real.
Because to me is that. But my instructor always tells me, you didn't get it for free. Mm-hmm. And even though I did financial-wise, but blood, sweat, and tears-wise, no, I got the lead beat out of me. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. But I started the program for everybody to be able to take karate. I didn't just want it because not everybody plays football, not everybody plays basketball, not everybody plays soccer. Yeah. So we have to be able to give something to offer. And I remember when I started, man, I had all my friends and family tell me, oh, don't worry, man. When you open up a karate school, I'm going to bring my kid to you. That's what I would hear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think I had about 10 people my opening day, and half of them were my kids.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that way.
Right.
But I didn't really care because I had one goal, and I was to eventually keep teaching, and that's how that started with the Holat Kenpo.
And so basically, after everything happened, and then you got to that spark with the thought process where you kind of wanted to teach, you continue to do the school now, right? It's kind of it's kind of what you're made for in some cases, because the talent that you have produced, the killer scorpions that you've made are living proof that your philosophy is working.
Well, but what is also living proof of is what the love of the martial arts and the martial arts students could do for a teacher as well.
Right.
Because what it's done for me, so yeah, I've done for them, right? And I tell you that if you name me another school out here that's got close to 60 state champions out of the school, because that's what I'll have at the end of this year. Mm. I have 61 state champions out of my school. Yeah. In 9 years of competition, dude. I done that. Triple Crowns, I have them. But what people don't see is what it's done for me. That's what people don't see. What it's done for me is kept me clean for 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's what it's done for me. What it's done for me is put me at a different level where I want to change. I want to be a better person. I don't want to be this person. And I don't care. Like, I got called a community leader, and I said, no, I'm not there yet. That's not me yet. I'm a karate instructor that's leading my kids. I'm not leading everybody. I'm leading my group of kids. Yeah. But what it's done for me is helped me. It's helped me manage my life a little bit better. It's helped me, as far as my kids, my wife, my grandchildren, to be a better person. And in martial arts, that's what that's done for me. So
the thing about your school is that nobody understands, like, this is an actual school. Like, this is not you come over here, we give you a freaking, a little certificate, you come and have fun. Like, this is straight discipline, puro discipline. Mm-hmm. So when he's teaching you, he's hitting you hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, and at first it could come off a little bit like aggressive. You know what I mean? You kind of get in there and you hear him go, sit down. You want to sit down with him? Like, okay.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because what's been happening is, you know, if you think about it, as a society, we made our kids soft.
Yeah,
we
facts.
have. You know, we have. I tell you, it starts off with all this appreciation ribbons, or because you showed up, let me give you a trophy type crap. And I hate that shit. I'm gonna be the first one to say that. I don't believe in it. Because it's made us soft. And when I grew up in the martial arts, you had, in order for you to win, it was 1 through 3. That's it. 1, 2, and 3. So people trained because you did not want to leave the tournament on that 4th spot or below. You did not want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And if you was fighting for 3rd and 4th, which let me tell you something, I had a lot more 3rd and 4th fights than 1st and 2nd. Let me just throw that out there, right? And those were some of the best matches because you wanted that 3rd place.
Right.
You understand? So the training was constant. You was constantly training. Whereas now, hey, all I got to do is show up to the tournament, get my butt whipped, and I'm gonna get a certificate. I'm gonna get a ribbon. I'm gonna get something. So it made the kids soft, man.
Right.
Because they don't have to train for what they want.
Right.
And then what it does is it shows a separation. When I was coming up in the martial arts, you could tell those who were nice, and there was a lot more of us. There were so many of us, and you had to train for every little bit. You had to scratch and sniff for everything. Whereas now you got all these puritans, and they don't train that hard because they don't care. They're gonna get something no matter what.
Right.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it's made it soft. My school is different. I listen, man. If I would go, and I don't judge other schools, and I'm not gonna get into it, but it's not easy to catch rank in my school. It's just not. My son is my greatest warrior, Sensei Black Tiger, Sensei Roman Rodriguez. He's in the military, right? He's my greatest warrior. He's the greatest warrior I produced because I built him from scratch. That's my boy right there, right? And I made him wait 8 years for his black belt. And he was beating up on black belts when he was a yellow belt. I put him in a tournament that my boy Chapman threw. He was a blue belt. And I put him in the black belt division. He came in 2nd place.
Ooh.
But a monkey could fight. Mm-hmm. Monkey would rip your ass up. Right? He can't tell you why he did it or how he did it, can he? Right? So that's what a person who just thinks that fighting to get a black belt is just about fighting. Yeah. You have to have that knowledge. You have to have that kata. You have to have that weapon. Yeah. You have to have that knowledge that you're gonna pass on. Because if out of this martial arts journey, the only thing you took out of it was fighting, that is the only thing you could teach, then you might as well close shop down now because you ain't got nothing to teach. Right. I'm not gonna do that. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I produce 1 black belt or 100 black belts. My black belts will be strong. Right. It's simple. Mm-hmm. See, my instructor didn't produce no fake-ass black belts. My instructor has a ton of black belts. And we all could get down. Right. But we all have that knowledge. Now, my son, you know, he was a star athlete, football, track and field for Commerce High School. And he did all these things. So I gave him the opportunity to be a kid. Mm-hmm. But that also costs you time. And I made him wait. And like I tell you, man, I remember I took him, my wife could tell you, man, I took him with me because we used to go travel to different dojos. I know a lot of people and we spar. Mm-hmm. We learn from each other. Yeah. And I go to this dojo and I learn from them and they learn from me. And I took him one time at the age of 15, he was a yellow belt. And he was banging out with a dope black belt. So they was like, they followed him. From that point on, he was another one who didn't really have to pay for classes. If my Sensei Pete Cruz was having a workshop over here, boom, they grab, he can work over there. Sensei Chapman, Sensei Molina, the Willies, it didn't make a difference, you know, especially with the Willies. So that was my greatest warrior. Like I said, I made him wait 8 years.
Right. So you can say kind of like, because people give you flack now, right? Because basically you're trying to change and people still trying to bring you down and trying to bring up your past and trying to act like it's just a facade, you know what I mean? And it's frustrating because it's like they don't understand that you've used everything you have ever went through and you're now like funneling it to the kids to understand like how to be better people. Like more disciplined, more obedient to understand like the rules and follow. Like your school has even given confidence. to some of the kids. I've seen kids start up there and they're a little like scary at first, and then they start having fun. They start fighting fun. They start having a great time with everybody. They start mingling, and you build an environment of family. So it's like this is the thing that I would tell you. I would tell you, Richie, you have affected so many lives in the last 10 years. And you have changed so many different people every time they come in, even if they meet you one time. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's because the energy that you've went through, everything you have ever done has led you to be this man today. And it's a blessing, bro. We need you. We need 100 of you.
Well, so it's all about the work.
Yeah.
You know, and you can never stop thinking. You know, always remember that the reason people may think certain way about me is because of me. I did that. Nobody did that to me. I did that to myself. And accountability is the first thing you have to do. And know that it's a hard journey. It's gonna be a hard journey because it went both ways. So you had the people who weren't martial artists, but kind of like knew me but didn't know me, they passed judgment. Well, here's this guy, you know, he's being a fake, he's doing this. And then you had the martial arts world, and then you had them, and they wasn't trying to give me an opportunity at first either, because like, who the hell is this guy?
Right.
So I was catching it from both sides, but I didn't care. And don't get it twisted, man. At the beginning, it was tough. I was going through my own personal problems. I was going through my own personal demons.
Right.
So it was like I was trying to control my demons, affect my students and affect me in a certain way, and it was like falling apart. And then sometimes it takes a certain person and to actually check you and tell you, stop whining, stop being a little bitch, and do what you have to do.
Right.
And I didn't have that at the beginning. And then somebody came along and kind of gave me that. And that was my wife. And then I had a partner that, but even though she hates karate, the most thing she knew about karate was Bruce Lee. That was it. She didn't know nothing about it. Right?
You know?
She didn't know nothing. She didn't know. Listen, man, I tell you, I was teaching her how to do a triangle. Right? My wife got metal on her leg. Metal on her leg. My wife got metal, right? And I teach you how to do a triangle. Somebody takes you down, you put them in a triangle. We're playing around, you know. I'm courting her. This is at the beginning of our relationship. But I'm thinking she knows that when I tap, you gotta let me go. So she puts me in this triangle, right? And she starts squeezing, and I start tapping. And she actually thinks that I'm doing like Hulk Hogan and wrestling. I'm hyping myself up. So she starts squeezing me harder. Dude, I had to pull out all this ancient Chinese secret shit just to get off me passing out. But it was just fun to have that moment and to have somebody tell me, you know, as much as I don't like it and despise it, I'm going to have your back. Right. Because I wouldn't be able to achieve this. Let me tell you something. You look at the statistics of martial arts instructors that are divorced, and it's a very high one. Extremely high. Because it's tough for a martial arts instructor. Sometimes we have to be reminded that there's got to be a balance. Yeah. You know, we forget. We spend more time with other people than we do with our families. That's a fact. You know, there's no off season for us. We're done with tournament season, and
that's just all year long.
All year long.
All year long. We're fighting from January to December.
We're fighters. We're not football players, and I'm not taking nothing away from any sport. We're not football players, and we're not basketball players, and we're fighters. Yeah. We're people who train to defend ourselves. Yeah. This is all year long for the rest of your life if you choose to, because there's so much information that it would take you 10 lifetimes, and you still wouldn't be able to touch every piece of martial arts out there. You understand what I'm saying?
No, that's 100. That's 100.
Okay, that's the way it is. Okay, the true martial artist is not the one that you see that has an insane resume. Oh, well, I've got a black one, this, and I'm 35 years old. Martial arts, true martial arts is the one that has very little rank, has been there for a long time, keeps training on his own. Right. You know, and I've been blessed, you know, to know a lot of those guys. I've been blessed to be a part of people like my instructor and the Red Dragons from Springfield, and Whitley's Taekwondo, especially them, who Gancho Bolo Whitley, one of the most humbling men out there, has talked a lot of sense into me. So it's been a long journey, but well worth it. For those who didn't believe in it, and you know, I tell them thank you. I'm not mad at them.
Right.
I'm not mad at them.
Everybody need a little bit of haters.
We all do.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, it's like fighting. You don't get better by being the ones you can be. You get better by being the ones you can be. And this is the same thing. You don't get better by the ones that love you. You get better by the ones that hate you. And let them hate you, because that's what they're there for.
Right.
And your job is to continue to prove, because it doesn't stop now. I mean, what I do, this right now, this podcast is not to glorify me or anything like that. It's to explain me a little bit better. Yeah. I'm a person who am diagnosed with bipolar. I'm a person who's been in trouble with the law, who's had a drug substance abuse problem, who's been part of domestic violence, who's been a part of violence, period. Yeah. And now is trying to make a turn, not because I want people to think, oh, now he thinks he's better. I don't ever think I'm better. I take what I did in the past, and it's what fuels me to do what I do now. Facts. I teach a women's self-defense class, and trust me, I've heard it. Oh, look at this guy. He's teaching a women's self-defense class. So you remember the time you did this? And yeah, absolutely, I do. That's why I'm doing this now. Right. And I even talk, it's not like I hide it, because when I go and I teach my class, I explain to them how I was the victimizer. Yeah. So I know when I tell you how to put somebody down, or I tell you why. And so it's not me trying to be this facade or trying to be better than anybody. I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday, today, and I'm trying to be better tomorrow than I am today. That's all I'm trying to do.
You're only human too, bro. We're not, most of us are raising ourselves through time. You know what I mean? We learn from the environments that are given to us. You know what I'm saying? Then we grow from them. Obviously, we're not making an excuse saying the streets is no. But the thing is, this is the fact that we have to see we're hard-headed kids, and we have to see the rough side of the patch first in order to understand the brighter side.
You have to.
You know what I'm saying? How many techniques have you learned? Like besides kenpo, like how many have you?
Kenpo's been my
your main factor.
It's been my main baby. I've been in kenpo now about 34 years. Yeah. Studying different versions of kenpo, from the original Iron Dragon, Chinese kenpo.
Because I see your hands. When your hands move like.
Well, I've been blessed, man. Because when I came up, everybody knows that one of my favorite things are superheroes and toys. I have toys. Everybody knows that, right?
You were a Marvel guy.
Yeah, I'm a Marvel DC. I'm a superhero. I'm a Batman guy. That's everybody knows that. Yeah. To a point that me and my wife, we're planning on getting married. We're renewing our vows again. And we're thinking about doing a superhero team. That's who I am. And when I was growing up, the black belts that I was going, they were my superheroes, man. Yeah. You had my instructor, Sulky Raven, who was an amazing competitor. Amazing. He could do stuff with his legs, and he had trained and competed with the likes of Billy Blanks, Bill Wallace, some of the top guys in the world, And then you had Greg Barnett, Sensei Black Tiger. We used to call him G-Man. You had He-Man, we had G-Man. Dude was a rip. I named my son Sensei Black Tiger, his fight name after my instructor's fighting, because he was, in my eyes, one of the purest fighters that there was out there. And then you got Indy's instructor, King Mantis, who I named my student, Little King Mantis, who was the next top fighter, And then you had Sensei Golden Eagle, Sensei Python. These are the guys that I had to train with, that I had to spar with. Right. And I loved it. And I used to catch beatings, man. I'm telling you, beatings. And it was the best thing for me.
How did you get the name Scorpion? How did you...
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I wasn't happy at first.
What you want?
I wanted to be a dragon. I wanted to be a dragon. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I was kind of upset. So to make it worse, man, I was intimidated so hard because in kenpo, at least in the system that we teach of Chinese Iron Dragon kenpo, which is originated from Grandmaster Kali Griffin, right? Yeah. Remember, Kali Griffin had he had an ensemble of black belt martial artists. And eventually they all branched out. And some of the traditions that they've always had, and other schools do it as well, but mostly kenpo, is you have fighting name and you get your green belt. And the green belt's equivalent to halfway to your black belt. But by the time you get to green belt, your fighting characteristics should be out. How the person you are.
Oh man,
your
that's
determination.
Crazy.
So I train with big guys.
Yeah.
Right? The next smallest person is Sensei Eddie.
Yeah.
He's about an inch or two taller than me, right? So I get there and I'm in the bathroom. One of the stores changing, and they know I'm in there. So they go in there and they start off with, you know, he thinks he's getting a fighting name today. We're gonna tune his little ass up. So now my heart's going 100. You know, and I get out there and they didn't lie. I got tuned up, but I fought heavy, and it's time to get my fighting name. My instructor said, "Your fighting name is gonna be Red Scorpion." And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was mad. Right? Because at the time there was a movie called Red Scorpion with Dolph Lundgren. You know Dolph Lundgren. You ever seen Rocky IV when he fights the Russian?
Yeah.
That's Dolph Lundgren. Do I look like that motherfucker? This guy is 6'5". He's got a foot and 100. So I was like, what is this? And then to make it worse, I was a little upset. And I even forgot my green belt after I got it in class. So you guys already know that I came back and my teacher didn't give it to me for a month. I wasn't even allowed to be called by my fighting name because I left my green belt. I wasn't considered a green belt yet.
Damn.
You know? And then one day I just, Tammy was Shion. I said, Shion, you know, what's up with the name? He said, the Scorpion is because you're small but deadly.
Ooh, he killed it. He killed it.
And the red is because you got a fucking bad temper.
I like it.
So
I like it.
Because that's how it went. So once he put it there, I wear the Scorpion on my neck. I got it on my arm. I wear it on my ring. I am that. I embody that. Yeah. I didn't go as far as he did. Yeah. My instructor actually changed his name. My instructor actually became Raven. You know, that was his name. He embodied it. But sometimes that's what you have to do. Yeah. You have to take it, and this is what drives you. This is who you become. This is what separates you. And that's what made, in my eyes, made me stronger. I was given a name because of my fighting. And then, you know, my wife, you know, she used to tell me, we used to go on Facebook, and I remember at certain competitions, because I didn't compete like a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know that did it hardcore, became champions. You know, I competed in there, but I always hung in there. I always did my best. I always did pretty good. And I wasn't scared of fighting. No, I'm not scared of fighting. You know, I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 years old this year. And I spar with my kids. The only thing that stops me is sickness, because pain don't even stop me. And I spar with them.
I've seen. You've
seen. And I'm there every Wednesday like clockwork for the last 11 years, 11 and a half years.
Yeah, that what was it, 49 minutes last year?
You see, for my birthday, I did 49 minutes of sparring. So I'm always doing my best. I try to lead by example about you can't like the martial arts. You have to love it. Yeah. If you like it, you're going to get a like-type response from it. You have to love it, because it's the only way you would want to put yourself, because what you got left in the long run, I'll tell you what you got left in the long run. You got a person like me who's got arthritis in his back, his hip, his knee, his hands. Okay, I'm walking with a wobble. I gotta wake up in the morning. It's almost like I got a deep WD-40 my ass in order for me to walk right.
Put the oil on
everything is cracking, you know. But I wouldn't trade it for nothing, because what I am now is through the discipline of the martial arts. What I've done with some of my students, I don't have many black belts, but I have students who become police officers, firefighters, military personnel, and a lot of that discipline they created on my behalf. So I've done my job. You know,
you've done it well.
You don't got to do nothing special. You don't got to be nobody special. You got to train hard. Yeah. That's my favorite student. I don't have everybody says favorite. No, there's no favoritism with me. My favorite student is a student that trains hard. That's a student I want to keep feeding. So I can't come and take that student and train at the same speed as the other one. I have to give her a little bit more. Yeah. Not because she's the hardest worker, but she's the most hungry right now.
Right.
So that's how it was with me. I was always hungry, so I had, just like my son Roman, I had opportunities. You know, I trained in kenpo, but I also trained in boxing, I also trained in kickboxing, I also trained in judo. I've also done jiu-jitsu, done ground jiu-jitsu, stand-up jiu-jitsu. I've done a little bit of everything, and I've been privileged to do that because of my training, because I train hard. So I try to instill that same thing with the kids. So when they get their black belt, it doesn't just have to stay right there. They could either continue to keep learning, or do like Roman, that Roman branched out to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, branched out to the boxing. All you're doing is adding to your repertoire. So
Right.
when it's your time to teach, you got more than just karate to teach.
Yeah, because that's what I feel when I go into one of your classes. I feel like I'm learning more than just karate sometimes. I'm learning more about just defending myself in general.
In general. Well, I think like I said, what's helped me is I have a lot of friends in the martial arts, and I follow a lot of my friends, and everybody obviously has their own different opinion as far as what techniques work and what don't. But you take from it, and I just keep teaching what I teach and
Keep pushing forward.
keep pushing it forward.
Where are you located now?
I'm on High Street. I'm on 303 High Street. Been there for close to 4 years now. I'm gonna say about 4 years now we've been there. It's one of my favorite spots. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a nice spot on Ray Street, and it was a beautiful place, 1,500 square feet, and cathedral ceilings, and it was real nice. Location was okay. It's on Ray Street. Don't get that much foot traffic there. Let people know about it. On High Street, I've been it's opened up a lot of doors for me. Right. Because people walking by the whole time, and then we received a lot of the business just from people walking by. Right. So it's made us more of I'm not gonna say an eyesore, but something like that in the city where people now know that we're there. But for the first 6-7 years, it's like nobody really.
Honestly, to me, it's like a gem in dirt. You know what I mean? Like if you just look through the dirt, you'll find some some knowledge, some fire.
And I've been blessed again because I get good parents and I get good students. Karate is not for everybody. It's one of those things that is one minute you have a lot of students and the next minute you don't. But the students that I've had, for the most part, those who wanted to compete, I've done pretty good with them. And those who just wanted for general self-defense, I've done pretty good with it as well. And one thing that I want to say before we leave is to everybody who's supported me, I want to thank everybody. I've gotten a lot of support from the community of Holyoke. The city's is coming around now.
That's what they need to. They need to, bro.
And it's different leaderships and different stuff. And I want to thank my wife for putting my school in, because me, I don't even know if there's a word for me. I never wanted no help from anybody. Right. And I didn't want to deal with the politics. I didn't want to deal with nothing. My wife said, no, you know what? This is how we get people to realize what you're doing out there. So I want to thank her and everybody else who's been a part.
For every strong man is a strong woman, right?
That's what they say.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Happy life, happy life. Happy wherever life. Absolutely. Hey, Richie, I want to thank you, man. One of the many lessons I've learned from you in the past year is the definition of a loser. And how loser is not the person who trains and loses. He's the one that doesn't train and complains that he lost.
Absolutely.
And that's it. I'm telling you, bro, like, I'm going to use these gems. So if you see me, don't copyright them, all right? I made that up. I made that up.
Just cut me another piece and we all right.
Guys, you already know it's been a whole lot of real. We had Richie in the building from Rodriguez Holyoke Kenpo. So if anybody wants to get their kid trained, get the kid in shape, get yourself in shape, you know what I mean? Come on down. But only the strong will survive. Thick as skin, you heard? If you don't like the way we talk, you don't like the way things go when we go on this podcast, you don't have to watch it. We're just here to talk shit. We're just here to get down to the things, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm high. You know how this shit go. We out of here.